Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am Deleted Scenes, human being, American, and YouTuber Roman. I'd like to welcome you to episode 54 of The Other Side of Midnight. Already in the chat. Joining us almost an hour ago, Matt Cheatwood. Tired midnight blogger himself, Curtis Selby. Loyal Blue Wrench. The bird woman of YouTube, Connie Clary. Deleted. We'll see. He's okay, I guess. Channel member JP RPH1. Check out Connie's second channel, Fluff Productions. Last call, something dark side. She of the smoldering new avatar. That doesn't work. Joining us from the future, Sashi. Apparently, I'm having some audio issues tonight, so I don't know if everybody can hear me, but hopefully you will be able to hear everyone else. So, I am going to introduce my fellow panelists tonight. Connie Clary.
Heidi-ho!
Troy Pacelli.
Hello.
And Curtis Selby.
So I grabbed him by his big fat head and I said, I ain't going to jail for you. Or, oh, wait, sorry, I'm live. Never mind.
No!
All right. All right, how's everybody doing?
Netter is turning red, trying not to laugh out loud. She's really losing it over here.
I can see her doing it from here.
Yeah. She's covering her mouth and tears are coming out of her eyes.
All right.
I meant to do that. Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm still breaking up a bit.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Okay. Well, talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I will
You're
jump
gonna
out and
jump out and jump
refresh.
back in?
Yeah.
Talk.
No, I like I was saying over on Geeky Geezers, I wanted to thank Deleted Scenes for taking me on as another charity case. I am really close, guys. I need less than 20 watch hours for the milestone you need to be able to apply for monetization. And every stream that I can stream out myself brings in, at least the watch hours of the people on the panel if no one else comes over to my channel. But JPRPH1, I see you there, and I thank you so much for, going over and hitting the like button for me. But hopefully, if not this Friday, then maybe next Friday, I will be able to announce on Last Call that I've hit my milestone and I've applied for monetization. But,
That'd be awesome.
I know, right? And then I can get that $1.250 to pay for a drink every now and again. I don't know how much money it is. Welcome back, Deleted Scenes. I was just killing time.
All right. How am I sounding now? Any better?
Right now, you're kind of holding. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. All right. We'll see how it goes. All right. I would like to take the moment to thank everyone who is joining us on the other channels that are simulcasting. Troy, remind me, how many hours away?
Looks like about 19 hours.
19? Okay. But that's going over now 3 broadcasts, so I think we're going to get you there.
I think so too. And obviously, we haven't, I don't think it's taken into account Last Call yet. It definitely hasn't taken into account the Back to the Future 3 earlier this afternoon. Hasn't gotten caught up with this one yet. So yeah, I think this is the week that's going to do it. I really do.
Right on.
I got a ways to go for both of my channels, so.
Yep. Netter's making a good point. If you're on the panel, make sure you've muted your YouTube channels so that you're only hearing yourselves through the StreamYard.
Yeah. All right. I would like to thank everyone who is joining us on Rumble and now on Twitter, now that I went back and fixed that issue. So don't forget to say hello in the chat and all that good stuff. All right. Troy, you were saying?
No, I was actually done. I was just talking about how many watch hours I was away from it, and I'm getting really, really close. And I figure this week or next, I'll at least be able to say I've gotten the watch hours that I need, and then I can apply for monetization. And after that, I am sure I will have some sort of a celebration stream related to that. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Sashi says, what are you going to do with all that sweet YouTube money? Well, I know. I haven't received mine yet. And
yeah, we were talking about that behind the scenes.
I know I have some waiting for me because the site lets you know what you've earned and when you're going to receive it by, or at least in my case, where you're supposed to receive it by. But I haven't yet, so I got to figure out what's going on there. So, but
I mean, technically, I've made about $17 on Rumble. I just haven't cashed it out yet.
Yeah.
They sent your check. They sent your check to De Niro.
Oh
they
gosh.
probably did.
Oh, hell.
Okay. Well, that's
That sounds like a pivot point. Yeah.
Yeah. A pretty good segue.
Yep.
All right. Well, earlier this evening on my epic anti-Hollywood, anti-Washington, D.C., anti-news media rant, apparently went on for some 72 minutes. Why the hell didn't any of you stop me? Okay. Would be, oh, here's my pal.
Yeah.
Don Vito Corleone, the would-be here, Robert De Niro. Well, apparently, shot his mouth off again, folks. And I'm going to read this article here from Deadline. Don't worry, this is not going to take long. not if I can help it. Uh, Robert De Niro, who made a surprise campaign appearance for Joe Biden outside of Donald Trump's trial just 2 days before today's guilty verdicts in the hush money case, reacted to the news by saying justice was served. While promoting his new movie Ezra on Thursday in New York City, congratulations, you're going to tank that movie. The actor told Variety how this never would have gotten to this stage. I don't want to be talking, but I'm so upset by it, I have something to say. This is my country. This guy wants to destroy it, period. He's crazy. And again, I ask, how's he going to destroy it? But let's put a pin in that for a moment and move on. A jury in New York on Thursday found the former president guilty of all 34 counts of, and I quote, falsifying business records as part of a conspiracy to keep a potential sex scandal from derailing his first presidential campaign. Well, somebody, thank you for finally spelling that out. Okay. All right. Even if it is a load of bunk, and we're going to get to that. Little thing called statute of limitations I want to discuss. He's scheduled to be sentenced July 11th, just days before the start of the Republican National Convention. Wow, what a coinkydink. When asked if he thought this could affect the presidential election, De Niro said, I think it would. Of course, because that's the way he helped set it up. All right, the actor went on to admit that he has some fears about his safety, especially when he's been so vocal about Trump. God, this guy makes me laugh. He's such a plus. Where'd your balls go, tough guy? All right. You think about that, it makes me more angry. I have to be afraid to be intimidated. That's why I said you're not going to intimidate us. People are fed up. They're going to fight back. That's not what we're about in this country. Well, we appear to be several different countries at once. So which one are you from? May 28th, De Niro stood outside of the Manhattan courthouse and called Trump a tyrant. Now he's promising to use our own military to attack U.S. citizens. When did he say that? De Niro said at the time, that's the tyrant. That is the tyrant he's telling us he will be, and believe me, he means it. When Trump ran in 2016, it was like a joke, he continued. This buffoon running for president? No, never could happen. We have forgotten the lessons of history that showed us other clowns who weren't taken seriously until they became vicious dictators. With Trump, we have a second chance, and no one is laughing now. And this goes on to talk about the movie that's going to tank. So congratulations on that. The movie that was already going to be a niche film is not going to make any money. Congratulations there. All right. Anybody got anything else? All right. Well, we finally got the somebody to actually explain at least a little bit to me what the charges exactly were. Apparently, you can now be tried for a bookmaking error, which, according to the law, statute of limitations ran out on 6 years ago. So, have fun with that.
Well, that's the biggest problem here. This was a perfect example of show me the man, I'll come up with the crime. This was not in any way in keeping with American jurisprudence. This threw out all the rules of our legal system, and the judge had decided a priori he is guilty. He's guilty of anything and everything we decide he's guilty of. We will not allow him to admit evidence we don't like, but we're going to admit whatever evidence we want, including hearsay evidence and whatever we determine. It goes against all the rules of our legal system. He's got a great, he's got a textbook case for appeal. And honestly, it puts SCOTUS in a situation where they are going to have to step in sooner than later. This creates a huge constitutional crisis. So for all the celebutards out there that have no knowledge of law or our legal system, don't even have any concept of right and wrong beyond what they believe, and anything that goes against their beliefs is evil and wrong. I'm sorry, but just remember that what you think is so great, this kangaroo court today can be used against you tomorrow. They did it first to Alex Jones. That was the test bed. Then they did it to Trump. And once you do it to a president, they can do it to anyone. Anyone who says anything that the administration doesn't like. So right now, you're speaking the language of the current administration. Don't ever get critical of the people in power, because you'll be on trial next. That's how this works. Talking about learning from history, my friend.
Yeah, I just find it very interesting that the people who keep claiming that they're fighting against tyranny and fascist dictatorships, that's how they act.
They do it by wanting a fascist dictatorship to fight the fascist dictatorship, right? That's how these things happen. We are fighting to defend democracy by making sure the other side can't vote for the person they want to vote for. They don't see that they're literally doing the opposite of what they claim to be wanting to do.
And that's why I said at the end of Unscripted earlier tonight, was that I'm not telling anybody who to vote for. I'm telling you to go out and vote. And if you are not registered, do so. And do not let these people take that right away from you, because that's what they're trying to do. These people who keep claiming that they are against these fascist dictatorships are trying to remove everybody from the ballot except their man.
Yeah, I mean, if what they're doing to Trump wasn't enough, look what they're doing to Robert Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. That guy's a Democrat. That guy is a Democrat. But they would not let him run against the incumbent because they were afraid that the incumbent would lose. They refused to give when Robert Kennedy said, "Fine, I'll run independent," they refused to give him a security detail. What does that tell you? That means we want you dead so you can't run against us.
Yeah.
Who are you going to vote for? That's the question. Not that we're telling you who to vote for. Who are you going to vote for? Who can you vote for? You have a choice of voting for the incumbent president, the independent who has no support, no security. They're trying to make sure that you can't vote for him. They're trying to keep him off ballots. Or you can vote for the other party, who they just threw in. Well, they're not going to throw him into jail. At least I hope they don't. That's another Rubicon they'll have to cross. Yeah. But they just found him guilty on federal charges. They can now claim that he is that he's guilty of federal crimes. Are you going to vote for him? They've been trying to keep him off of ballots. Thankfully, the SCOTUS stepped in on that one. But what does that tell you? Does that look like democracy to you? trying to prevent anyone else from running against the incumbent? Is that democracy?
Nope.
Or is that what they do in banana republics? Who's defending democracy here?
Well, it looks like we're going to have to do it. I don't see
I think
any.
that
And whatever you say about Trump, whatever you believe about Trump, if you believe in democracy, you still let him run. And if he's guilty of all the things you say, and if the majority of people don't want him, he won't win the election. That's how democracy works.
Bingo.
I honestly believe that if they had left him more or less alone, he might not have had much of a shot. But every time that they do Mar-a-Lago, and that's when I started to think coming back around, and then they charge him with that BS in New York. I mean, that was just obvious because how many of you have bought a house? It sounds like that's completely off the topic, but how many of you have bought a house?
Netter and I are hopefully going to be paying ours off in a couple of years.
Okay, well, it may have been a hot minute, but if you remember the process, you applied at the bank sent an adjuster, the adjuster valued the property, the loan was based off of that amount. The only difference between what we do and what Trump did is we're talking about bigger values.
Bigger dollar values, yeah.
That is it. And unless they have proof that he bribed the adjuster, I don't see in any way that New York case has any legs to stand on. And maybe somebody knows something I don't, but I haven't heard that any such thing was proved.
Well, everybody, even Democrats in New York are coming out and saying, this is how business is done. We had an agreement. I mean, the people that he takes the loan from said we were happy with this deal. They didn't bring charges against him. They didn't, go to the courts. The courts just said, you're a victim, whether you like it or not, and we're going to try him for this. There are a lot of, this is something, of course, that the media isn't covering, but there's a lot of big businesses in New York looking at this situation going, we're not sure we want to do business in New York anymore if this is how New York is. And this is on top of all the crime that is driving people out of New York, so businesses are having a hard time finding A, customers, and B, employees.
Have you heard any of the stuff that Mr. Wonderful from the Shark Tank has said about the New York court case?
No.
I won't try to take over the stream here, but it's really something worth looking up because, before he said anything, I kind of thought, well, this really sounds sleazy, but maybe there's something I don't know. And then Mr. Wonderful, who I really am not a big fan of, but he came on and yes, Putin's cat, I am on again. I'm like a sad puppy. They can't get rid of me. But he spelled it out, and I'll grant you my research is kind of cursory, but I looked at after that, and I just don't see. I talked to my liberal about it, and they're like, well, yeah, it's political, but maybe if we're not doing illegal things, but I think Trump's never done anything illegal, but I don't see how that case established in any way that he did anything illegal.
Well, there's also a lot of legal experts that have come out talking about this, and we're not talking Trump supporters. We're talking, good old-fashioned liberals coming out saying, yeah, this is not how the legal system is supposed to work.
And hello to Putin's cat.
I know the Weinstein video that I persistently kept trying to share, but I wasn't getting the points across. One of the points that was in that video was that he had come to understand that a lot of these charges against Trump were just bogus.
Yep.
And, it's not changed his mind as far as being pro-Trump. He's going to vote for Kennedy. But it did open his eyes to what's going on in our government.
Yep. At the very least, people are not going to vote for Biden. And that's what's really going to kill the Biden administration. Most people that were going to vote, everyone that was going to vote for Trump is still going to vote for Trump. A lot more people are now going to vote for Trump, if you believe all of the polls. And those that weren't going to vote for Trump anyway, a lot of them are turning to vote for Kennedy. This does not. None of this hurts Trump. It all hurts Biden. And now what you're seeing in Congress, the news that I've seen in the past couple days, even the Democrats are starting to say something needs to be done about this. They've gone to Hochul in New York and saying you need to give him a pardon because this is killing the election. And Hochul's going, why would I do that? This is our victory lap. No, it's not. This is you shoving the iceberg into the side of the Titanic. They know what they've done. And most of them that are paying attention are afraid.
I have a statement from the iceberg.
Okay.
Ready?
No, that's it.
Oh,
It
okay.
goes on for about 4 hours. And then
Got it.
there's a kind of like a boom, dot, 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 dot.
Gotcha.
And then another hour and a half. And then that's it.
There you go.
My attempt
I can
at
see the
humor,
iceberg
ladies and
saying,
gentlemen.
it's not my fault you ran into me.
Right?
Okay, I can't help but make a catch me if you can reference here, but Cotton Cleary, do you concur?
Yeah.
Sorry, my jokes can be way too
No.
vague.
No. I got it.
Yeah.
You beat me to it, actually. Pretty. I don't know if I'd really trust the Secret Service right now. Can a president have the Secret Service break him out of state prison? I think what they're going to do with them
We
is
lost
they're not
you.
going to put.
Okay.
Am I still here?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay. What I think they're going to do, I don't think they're going to. They're not going to send them to prison, but they know they need to shut them up. So what they're going to do is, I think they're going to try and place them under house arrest, and put the ankle bracelet on them and all that. And you can't go any farther than X amount of hundreds of yards away from whatever property they leave on, Mar-a-Lago or wherever. But I don't know. I wouldn't put it. I would not put it past them to try and put him in prison, because they want purple walk him. They want him in the orange jumpsuit. They want purple walk him so bad. They've been wanting to do this for years. Like Troy said, this is their victory lap. I said president. I didn't say X. I don't know. I tell you one guy who should be fucking prison who is Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
we're just going to let everything he's done go?
Well, and that's another thing that the average American person is looking at going, yeah, what aboutism here? You know, you guys are so proud that no one is above the law when they've got an R next to their name. But, you know, the president's son, oh, he's obviously above the law. You know, because most people can't kind of fathom what, if you are honest, no one can tell you what Trump is guilty of. There's a lot of people that hate Trump, that, oh, he's guilty, he's finally been caught. Yeah, what has he been caught doing? Something. It must be something bad, you know?
Yeah.
But you ask about Hunter Biden, drugs, prostitutes, gun charges, you know, those are tangible, illegal things.
If elected and if in jail, what happens? Well, if he's in jail, he's not going to be on the ballot. That's the thing. It's going to do everything to take him off the ballot.
But they can't. That's the problem. There is no legal statute that would allow him to be taken off the ballot. He is the candidate. He is already on the ballot. He is running. That's the thing. That's the other side that people kind of forget. He wins the election in November. All of this goes away. The president has the ability to pardon anyone, including himself. It's never happened before. Nixon allowed what's his name? Johnson to pardon him. But you can absolutely pardon yourself. And that is democracy at work. The people speak. He won. This is the consequence. Who was it who said elections have consequences? That was Obama. Well, guess what? It's true. It's true when it's the other guy, too.
Here's the thing, Cootie, is that no president has ever been placed into prison for federal crimes. None. Not one. Ever. This would be a first. We are in virgin territory here. We don't know
They've
what's
crossed
going to
so
happen.
many Rubicons, it's not funny.
You know, and we're dealing with an administration right now that is making up their own rules.
Yep.
And they're also breaking their own rules, too.
They really are. And that's why I'm saying this
That's
is a
real.
constitutional crisis that is going to force SCOTUS to step in.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to call Clarence Thomas a white supremacist again.
Well, sarcasm incoming. He does have white supremacist written all over his face.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other interesting thing. If you look at the polling, he's got the highest approval rate among black voters that, you know, are willing to answer the question than I think any Republican president in history. There is a huge movement of black voters moving to Trump and donning the red hats.
Look at Brooklyn, New York. When he was in there.
No sleep.
That is true, but treason has a very specific legal definition, and he doesn't even come close to it. For one thing, treason only exists in times of war. We haven't declared war since World War II. We've been at war, but we've never declared war. We've never been in a state of war. They've effed around with the war powers because Congress is supposed to vote to declare war, and they never have. That's why whenever the president takes and sends troops into another country, it's a police action. We're not declaring war. Congress never declared war. We're not at war. We're just going and invading another country and imposing our will on other countries through force. That's the president acting unilaterally. Unless you have a status of war, you can't be tried for treason. That's why every time you hear people talk about treason, charge the January 6th with treason, charge Hillary Clinton with treason, you can't do it. You'd have to change the constitutional definition of what treason is.
Yeah, Putin's cat is making a point that he also made in one of my live streams, and I believe he is accurate. While there was no formal declaration of war that I'm aware of, they did at least do an authorization of force. So, I mean, take that however you like.
It's legally splitting hairs, but laws are based on words, and those words have meaning. It's either we're declaring war or we're not. You can call, if it's not, you can call it whatever you want. It's just not war. If you do it to skirt one law, then all the laws are skirting it.
Weren't there some rattling of sabers about charging Trump for treason during the Mar-a-Lago fiasco?
Yeah, it's all rhetorical, though. There's no legal basis for it. And he was never charged with it. Never once was it ever brought up as a charge. Because they know it would just be shot down.
Yeah, I think it was just the media that kept rattling it. I don't think there were any actual legal pronouncements anyway.
Yes, I understand that Congress did it. But they did not vote to go to war. They voted for the use of... It's splitting hairs, but it's an important distinction.
All right, well, let's step away from that and kind of attack this from another angle, which is also something that I brought up earlier. And this was, of course, the reaction from Hollywood, who has constantly chosen to stick their nose into politics. Let me read off this article. It is rather quick. X and Instagram turned into celebratory water coolers for the likes of Lynn Carter, Rob Reiner, Mark Hamill, Michael Rappaport, Henry Winkler, and more. Thursday after a New York City, I think they even say New York City court. Proofread stuff, people. Come on, please. Found former President Donald Trump guilty on all 34 counts of falsifying business records. God bless New York City hosted Barkin, who, like so many other celebrities, were eager to weigh in on the verdict that came in shortly after 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Trump said between his attorneys Todd Blanche and Neil Bove that the jury was polled. Yeah, he needs to fire those two. All affirmed their guilty verdicts. Republican candidate for president is a convicted felon, Stephen King. Well, at least he got a sentence out. Here's a sampling of other reactions from X on Thursday. Keep rushing for more. 34 is now my favorite number, says Lynn Carter. Craig Thomas, whoever the hell he is. How I Met Your Accountability. And Stay Out, New York City to Trump. Surrender Donald, says Melissa Gilbert. Oh, half point. You disappoint me. The Daily Show, how many times was Trump found guilty? I don't know, as many people who are still watching your show, I suppose. Robert King, again, whoever the hell he is, 34 counts to goodbye. Celebrities, who are these people? Anna Gasteyer, in retrospect, I'm glad I decided not to drink every time they said guilty, because I never would have made it making dinner like they made dinner. Ileana Dillis, well, says it all. Zach Ornstein, again, whoever the hell he is, got to hand it to Trump on winning his first popular vote. I don't know what Brad Garrett's trying to say here, but here we go. Oh, I think that's supposed to be Pete Davidson with Melania, like that. Carrie Kunha, another reason not to watch Ghostbusters. Partisan Shill, Patton Oswalt. Do I even need to say? Mark Hamill, Kathy Griffin, Nicole Brown, Rappaport, Yulee, Reiner. I'm not watching anything.
You know, here's the thing.
Again. I gotta tell you,
this whole list of people. This whole list of people is very similar to someone took all of the times during the first election where everyone said that Donald Trump will never be president. Donald Trump will never be president. It's never gonna happen. Blah, 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 blah. And then guess what? He becomes president, right? You know, someone should just hold on to all of these tweets and go, how you feeling now? When SCOTUS overturns all of this crap.
Okay. We have Francis Fisher. Jay Hernandez. Yeah, I want to point this guy out. Okay, this is a fake. This is fake Magnum. He has a movie out right now called The Long Game, which is pretty much a woke piece of shit of a movie. That's supposed to be about this Hispanic golfing team, which would have been a nice little story if maybe all the white people in it weren't a bunch of scumbags. I got a pick with you.
Let me say one thing about what Hernandez is saying here, though.
Fucking Baldwin? Yeah, this piece of shit. I'm sorry.
Back up to what Hernandez said. I wanted to say something about that.
Mm-hmm.
Jury of your peers. That's another thing that has a very specific meaning. The problem with this is that most legal experts would agree that a group of people in New York City cannot be unbiased, and that was very clear from this decision. The whole concept of a jury of your peers is meant to be that it needs to be an unbiased selection of jurors. That's why we tend to move jurisdiction. This should never have been tried in New York. Yes, it is a New York case, but you can try it elsewhere. And of course, they didn't do that.
Okay. I'll tell you why it matters, Pootie. Because people listen to celebrities. I know, I used to be one of them.
Yeah.
What these people don't realize, or maybe they do realize it, maybe that's the problem, is that what they say matters. They have the spotlight. They have the pulpit. They have social media. They have all of these news outlets going to them to ask them for their opinion. And as you can see from this, they're all essentially saying the exact same thing because they're working off of a script that they are given. Now, this goes into what I was trying to say earlier tonight, is that people want to be taken away from their lives when they watch a movie or they watch a TV show. They want that hour, 2 hours, to get taken out of their lives for a little while. And go to another place. And believe me, I'm working on that, all right? I get what you're trying to say. All right, I'm not trying to argue here with you, Pootie. What I'm saying is that these are the people who point their fingers at us and talk down.
And if I can interject here, you're literally doing exactly that. You are writing your own script by commenting on these things. This is what has to be done. Because there are enough slackjaws out there that see this stuff, that follow these people and believe it and buy it. The same people I was just talking about when I say, what is Trump guilty of? What was he charged with? They look at you open mouth, they can't answer the question, right? It requires somebody who's got their own bullhorn, even if it's only 2,000, 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, or, to talk about this stuff.
Anyway.
Can anyone explain to me? Go ahead. Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead, Curtis, please.
I was going to say, does anyone here remember when they were trying to impeach Clinton? And all that it really hinged about was he had slept with somebody and then he lied about it, or we're going to impeach him, but we don't really feel like it's worth it because all it was really about was sleeping with someone. Can someone please explain to me what is the difference between that and anything that Trump did in this case? What I'm trying to say is, if Clinton wasn't convicted, wasn't supposed to be convicted, why is it that Trump gets to be convicted and is right to have been convicted? I don't understand that.
The interesting thing is, it's not even really about that. They are contorting campaign finance, of all things. They're trying to argue that the, in quotes, hush money was somehow a breach of election ethics. Keep in mind that this so-called hush money happened after the election. It could not possibly have affected the election. So I still want to know how that's even possible to be charged with. And yes, a sitting president needs to be impeached. There is impeachment procedures for a reason. There is a reason that the President of the United States is supposed to be immune to any prosecution outside of impeachment. The reason is so that this kind of thing can't happen. So that a sitting governor of a state can't say, if you don't do what I want you to do, I'm going to bring you up on charges in my state. That's how it's supposed to work. And that's why it works the way it does. They have broken all constitutional law to bring these felony charges against him. At least Clinton was impeached. They tried to impeach Trump. Nothing stuck. So that's why they're going this route with let's go after his business in New York. Let's go after campaign finance. Let's go,
Lying by itself is not a crime, and we also have lying under oath lying under oath is a crime. Yeah, just lying on its own. Well, you're talking about prison overcrowding now.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait until lying just becomes a crime.
And here's the problem with the idea of lying under oath. The burden of proof is on the prosecution to prove that he knowingly lied. See, that's the problem. If I say I paid my lawyer and what my lawyer did with the money, I don't know, you got to prove that he knew otherwise.
Is Trump committed to fraud before being president? Well, you see, that's where statute of limitations comes in.
Yep.
And
even if it was fraud, which I don't believe it was, okay. Because who did he defraud? The entities that he defrauded did not bring the charges against him. So there was no fraud. But let's just say for the sake of it that there was a fraud. The law says that if you don't prosecute him within a certain amount of time, it goes away. That's what statute of limitations is.
Lying to the FBI, Congress, lying in court, yes, there are crimes, but just lying otherwise is not criminal. No, completely.
And
agree.
Again, you have to prove that they knowingly lied. Being wrong, being mistaken is not a lie. And if you think he's lying, the burden of proof is on you to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
My main point is I am taking Stormy Daniels out of my book.
No, we're not going to go into that.
No, hell no.
Anywho, all right, let's kind of go back and we'll put that to the side. It's just that the second part of that is that when it comes to the entertainment industry, they seem to have lost track of what their job is. And I think they've become like a political arm of the left, and they have their show that's kind of like their 1 hour's hate, straight out in 1984, and that's called The View.
I was talking to my sister about The View today. I was talking to my sister about The View today. Oh, she loves them. No, she can't stand it. But she hadn't been aware of the time that Dr. Phil had been on there, so I showed that to her. And I wanted to talk to her about the time when Tulsi Gabbard was on there, but I didn't get around to that. So there it is.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard's a possibility too. About someone who could
there are
maybe be a candidate or maybe somebody's VP. I'm not saying necessarily Trump's a VP.
I've seen a lot of.
I could see. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Democrats that are leaving the Democratic Party lately. Obviously, Robert Kennedy was one. Tulsi Gabbard's another. I would love to see them start coalescing under Robert Kennedy's independent party. I think that really needs to happen. I would be very in favor of a third party. I think it's about time.
And it will be called Deleted.
Yeah, we just touched on it a little bit.
No, we touched on Clinton, but we're not talking about Clinton.
Yeah.
No.
Howdy, Darth Plato.
Reagan was another what? Another actor or another president? Because he was a president in the 80s, not the 70s. Putin, tell me one thing that RFK Jr. has said that you think is nuts. He is the most rational person that I have heard on the public stage. I'd say even more so than Trump on a lot of issues.
Yeah, the brainworm thing. Yeah, it is a little weird, but I mean, aside from that, plus I don't have access to the man's medical records, so who knows?
Yeah. All I can go by is what I've heard him say, and I agree with the things that he said for the most part. Matt Cheat, would the Libertarian Party is the party of the classical of classical liberalism? It wants to be, but if you've been paying attention to their recent posture, they've gone all in on the woke. So I don't see any difference now between the Big L Libertarian Party and the Democrats. That's the big problem.
Yeah.
Even most libertarians don't support the Libertarian Party.
Yeah. Darth Plato was referring to Reagan.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
No, you're right about that. I'm sorry. That's a good point. That's an excellent point. In fact, he famously said, "I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming you all have heard that speech.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And interestingly, I've heard a lot of people say, a lot of commenters say that John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy, if they're alive today, they believe that they would have switched parties and would be Republican today. The only reason that Robert Kennedy Jr. Pardon me?
I said they might be.
Yeah. I think the only reason Robert Kennedy Jr. hasn't gone that far is because he has always been so Democrat. He's able to leave the Democrat Party. He just can't get himself to join the Republican Party. And to be honest with you, the Republican Party today is not the Republican Party of years ago either. So I kind of understand where he's coming from on that. Yeah, JFK has some great comments about cutting taxes. Very conservative.
All right.
Yeah, for what I've been hearing of Robert Jr., even though I'm a Republican, I vote in Democrat because if the Democrats vote, let me put it to you this way, if a Democrat does it, what I think is right, I would vote for him.
Sure, I understand that. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
But you got to pay attention. See, that's the thing. People vote by D and R because they think they know what those parties represent. And that's not necessarily true of the individual you're voting for. It's very clear that there's a lot of Republicans who aren't conservatives. They're statists, right? Mm-hmm. And there is a lot of Democrats who are not little d for the people Democrats. They are socialists. Let's be clear about that. Yeah, I got that impression, Matt. I am finding myself agreeing with...
You're on the panel.
Well, that's because he's talking to a specific point someone made. I've been doing the same thing. Hey, Clue Channel.
Hey, Clue.
Yeah, I agree too. I tend to be very small L libertarian. But there isn't really, the Big L Libertarian Party is not a viable party. It just isn't. And after what happened last week, with they've decided that they're going to run a complete woke ass person. It's like, well, you've just destroyed all of your credibility now.
But my question is, did they nominate Vermin Supreme?
I'll tell you. The guy's a nut, but he's got some good rhetoric.
Yeah, I'm not saying I would vote for him, and I think that maybe he takes it too far, but he's making a point.
Only care about stability? Fascist is very stable.
Well, yeah, fair point there. But yeah, I like his comedy about, we're going to give a free pony to everybody, and it doesn't matter how it gets paid for because the government's going to pay for it.
Right, exactly. No, that's the funny thing. And when people point out, we have a fiat currency, the things that the government pays for is not paid for by tax dollars. It makes you wonder, why the hell do we pay taxes? I'll tell you why. It's control. Every year you go and you pay your income tax, they know who you voted for, who you contributed money to, what church you belong to, what charities you contribute to. They keep all this information on you. You are giving up your right to privacy just by how you file your taxes.
And also, I think that the taxation system, the income tax system, I know this is probably unpopular, but I've always felt that it was essentially it was an early trial, like the disease that shall not be named. All that stuff really wasn't about curtailing the disease. It was about trying to figure out, how far can we be pushed? How far will we comply? And I think income taxes is the same way. They can print all the money they want. They don't need any of our taxes, but they want to see how far they can push us. Will these people actually put up with 4% of their money being gone? Oh, they did. Well, let's see will they go with 41%, 42, and on and on and on.
Yeah. And Putin seems to think that people that want parts of the government defunded either have little money, investments, no jobs, or are crazy. Or maybe they just think our government is too damn big. Too much overreach. Too much bloat. In which case they're not crazy, they're intelligent. They're clear thinking. We don't need all the bureaucracy we have. Why do we have a Department of Education on the federal level? Seriously. We have school boards. We have communities that can handle the school and the education. We don't need to pay income tax to a federal agency to then turn around and give the money back to the state. And everyone takes their little bit, every hand that it goes through. I have always said they need to get rid of all the 3-letter agencies. All.
Yeah.
All.
And I'm getting to that point myself.
Yep.
You cannot tell me one 3-letter federal agency that is necessary. Personally, given the choice, yeah, I'd say no defense either. I say go back to the way it was intended to be. That every citizen was expected to defend their communities and the borders, and it was never intended that we would go to other countries to fight wars. Yes, FBI. We don't need a federal police force. That's how you get a police state.
And
yeah, we don't even really need the U.S. mail anymore. When was the last time you actually sent something through the mail? A rigged election vote? Yeah, and besides, the U.S. Postal Service is a privatized company. It's going to go bankrupt. It's being propped up by the federal government, but we really don't need it. WNBA? Yeah.
Sure. I'd like to see the ATF get a good swift kick in the pants, to be honest.
Damn right.
I'm not sure I trust any government agency that can just kick down your door and execute you. Or shoot your dog. One or the other.
Right. Exactly right.
I think I'll pass.
And I'll tell you, for the local agencies, they need to do away with qualified immunity as well. You need to be held accountable for whatever you do. Mission creep. Yes, that's a great way to put it, Darth Plato. It just builds and builds and builds. You know, who was it who said something about when they learn they can control the purse strings, the democracy is lost. That's pretty much been the case. Just keep spending. Hey, I'm a congressman now. That means I can pass laws that are going to directly affect the companies that I own stock in.
Yeah, funny how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's
I just want to keep
move over.
voting in Brewer.
Lost you there, Curtis. What was that you're saying?
Sorry. I was saying that we just need to keep voting in bread and circuses.
All right. Qualified immunity violates the 14th.
Absolutely does.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. I would argue that the only way to overturn qualified immunity, minus action from a legislature of some kind of conscience, would be a case going up to SCOTUS. But SCOTUS has a tendency to bow to state authority too. So I don't know what to do about that.
JPRPH1 says, I'm not a sports ball person anymore. Just trying to interject a little bit of levity.
No,
Let's move
I
on
agree.
from this. And
I agree.
Go on to... I think we've beaten this subject to death tonight.
And I'm going to say, as far as the WNBA goes, yeah, we may as well do away with it because we're doing away with gender. So let's just get rid of the W everything and throw everything together. Male, female, you don't get your own anymore because we've decided that men can be women now.
All right. We're going to move on to the next topic. And I know this is one Connie might like because she's a fellow horror movie fan like myself. And this week we had the movie In a Violent Nature. And it seems to be doing pretty well box office wise.
I am planning on seeing that In a Violent Nature here soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a chance to see this over the weekend. So my review is up on my channel right now. In a Violent Nature, an undead, murderous monster slow striding through the woods has generated IFC Films' second best opening ever since its indie horror hit Late Night with the Devil in March. The artsy slasher written... Yeah, another good one, yeah. The artsy slasher written and directed by Chris Nash will see an estimated weekend gross of $2.1 million on 1,426 screens, IFC's widest opening ever, and the number 8 spot at domestic box office. Late Night by Cameron and Colin Cairns, which opened at $2.8 million at 1,034 locations, is pushing $10 million. It returns to theaters June 6th, and it runs through the weekend on about 500 screens. In a Violent Nature has been steadily making waves for redefining the slash genre since its premiere. Scott Schumann, head of AMC Work Film Group, calling this feature film debut a film that will have a lasting impact in the horror space. At 87% with critics on Rotten Tomatoes, the film is one of the best reviewed horrors of 2024. With Late Night, Shudder's original Infested, that was a decent one, and IFC's Shudder Stop Motion, I haven't seen that yet. Some RT audiences seem less immediately enthusiastic, but it's very early days. Bleecker Street's Ezra will gross $1.18 million in its opening weekend on 1,320 screens, putting the film by Tony Goldwyn at number 9 at the domestic box office. And Shout Studios' Western The Dead Don't Hurt, written and directed by and starring Viggo Mortensen, saw a nice 354K at 735 locations, selling out screenings at Regal Union Square in New York, where Mortensen and co-star Vicky Krieps appeared for a Q&A with strong opening weekends across major markets. All right, so it's looking like what I said is coming true, and it's like these smaller or independent films are making their money back. And of course, one way of doing that is they don't have the bloated budgets. They know who their audiences are, and they play to them. And like in the case of In a Violent Nature, which at its face is a slasher film, and it works on that level. But there's also this other level that it's working on as well that I don't want to go into because I don't want to give away the film. But there's a little bit more going on than you think, and that's what makes it makes that movie interesting to me. But you know, this is what I'm talking about, though, when I say we have to support the independents, because I think we have a group of filmmakers out there right now who deserve to be higher profile and can go on to do other things. And I'm saying, but with the Cairns brothers, with Chris Nash, we are seeing the kinds of filmmakers that we were seeing in the early 90s, because that's what we need right now. We need somebody to come up from the independent angle, you know, the independent side of things, like we did back in the early 90s, where you had Tarantino and Rodriguez and Allison Anders and Alexander Rockwell and all these people, Nick Gomez, these people who nobody knew who they were, but they all sort of, Paul Thomas Anderson is another one who was kind of started around the same time. And it seems to run in streaks like that, because, you know, you had independent cinema in the 60s and 70s as well. It's almost like every 20 or 30 years or so, you get this new crop of filmmakers. And I think we're starting to see this generation of those filmmakers. But I'm glad In a Violent Nature is doing well. I'm glad Late Night with the Devil did as well as it did. I mean, it's getting a re-release, you know. And that's a movie that's already been on streaming. But you got people saying, hey, put it back in theaters. So, yeah, I'm for it.
And I absolutely hate to do this. I appreciate being on here, but I better go to bed. I've got work early in the morning. But this was great. Thank you for having me on here. And I love the passion that's going on with some of these debates. And hopefully I contributed a little bit more than, I took away. And I hope you have a great stream, guys.
Oh, no. Thanks for taking the time to come on, Curtis. I know you said you only had a few minutes and you stayed with us for more than an hour. So I appreciate you taking the time out to come on and join us for the show.
It was too fun. I love you guys. Thank you very much. And nobody knows. Yes, JPRPH, nobody knows my trouble but God. Have a good night,
Yep.
Matt. And
Have a good one, Curtis.
everybody else here. Good
Take
night,
care.
Fluff Kid. Good night, Stephen, Troy.
Take care, buddy.
All right. And good night, Netter, as well. I understand she's
She's been
Turned in
struggling
for the
all weekend. I think she's gone as long as she could, and I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Darth Plato with Vigo is back. Yeah. It's actually playing at my local Regal right now. It's a Western called The Dead Don't Hurt. And I've seen the trailer. It looks interesting. I haven't had a chance to see the movie yet. If I do, I'll have some kind of a review for it, either a long form one or a short. But yeah, and anything Viggo Mortensen is in, I'm willing to give it a chance because his movies tend to be pretty good. But yeah, Connie, you're somebody who's a horror fan. What do you think about this seeming resurgence in that genre?
I'm a happy camper. Because some of this shit that's been coming out nowadays, right?
No, you're not wrong. Not at all.
At least I could go out and do something. It says, I'm happy. I'm just totally happy that it's all coming back. It's amazing, some of the stuff that they've been pumping out. Especially like with last night with the devil. I'm glad they're going to be doing some more of the Evil Deads. I grew up with the original.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping they keep on going with bringing new stuff out.
Yeah, if you're not a horror fan, Darth Plato, then In a Violent Nature is probably not going to be your thing. I guarantee it's not going to be your thing. But it actually is a pretty decent movie, and it surprised me. Like I said, I want to talk about this movie with people so much, but I don't know anybody else who's seen it yet, and I don't want to go into spoilers with it because it's just the first weekend.
I get it.
And I mean, there are some scenes that people already know about. The quote unquote yoga hill. Oh boy. Never seen anything like that. No, literally, I've never seen anybody in a movie get killed like that. Ever. Like,
something I probably appreciate.
It's not possible, but I'm seeing it happen. And one of the things, and this usually is a budgetary issue because they don't have a whole lot to work with, is going back to practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, In a Violent Nature has CG in it. Late Night with the Devil has CG in it, but
as long as it's done in the right way, where you can't tell,
it's sparing.
Yeah, that too.
And if I told you where the CGI was in Late Night with the Devil, you wouldn't believe me because you go, wait, that was the CGI, and not.
Right.
The scene where you think the CGI is happening is not CGI. It's practical, but there are other things in there that are CG. And if I told you, it would be like, you got to be kidding. No, you're lying.
I always say the right tool for the right job. You don't drive a screw with a hammer, right? You don't drive a nail with a screwdriver. And I think for all special effects, there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. And by and large, the special effects are not supposed to look like special effects. It's like a magic trick, right? You see it and you totally believe it, that it was real, that there was no trick. If you see the trick, you did it wrong. And that's true. I don't care what the tool is, whether it's CG, practical, whatever it is. And spending more doesn't make it better. You know, all it does is cut into your bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'll have another round, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how it is, especially with the magic, because I grew up with it, because my dad did that for a time when I was growing up. So I kind of understand where that came from on that. I just came across matter of fact, it was just yesterday. I came across called Punch. It's like from Punch and Judy.
Oh, yeah.
There's a horror show that came out just last year on that.
Wow.
I found it by fluke on YouTube.
If you've ever seen those classic Punch and Judy shows,
Yeah,
I could totally see them being a horror show. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what is the story? It's usually a Punchinella makes a deal with the devil, beats his wife, kills his wife, goes to hell. I mean, it's crazy, horrible stuff.
And the thing is, Punch and Judy's been around for over 350 years from England.
Yep.
And this is
hi, Mark.
This show is all in humans, for humans. Someone in a mask for Punch, for Mr. Punch. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I'll let you guys look it up and let you make your own decision. I'll say, shit.
But I'll tell you what I know about horror films and the industry in general. Generally, horror films do well because, yes, they have a smaller niche. Not as many people are going to go see them. You're not going to bring little kids to see them, so they're not family films, but they are almost always low budget. So whatever return they do get is generally profit. And right now, the movie industry is dying from over-bloated budgets. So that's why we need more films like, these horror films that have lower budgets. Now, honestly, I would say that you could also do good dramas on low budgets, but nobody's doing them. These celebrities are way overpaid. I say stop using big names. Start getting talented people that don't have a name yet, and be more cost effective.
That's why some of these smaller independents are doing so well.
Yep.
Especially on the local level too. Because I know there's a couple of them around here and over here in Ohio.
Yep. But yeah, and I keep singing the praises of independent studios. They are the ones that still have the passion and the grit, that don't have the money and therefore are forced to do more with less. And I think that is a benefit to them, not a hindrance.
All right, let me pull up the box office for the weekend here. Page is taking its time.
Matt Cheatwood, I am going to give you a little a little sneaky peek that we may have a Godzilla -1 watch party coming up really, really soon. Keep an eye out for that,
Yes.
where we'll talk more about that.
I'm happy.
Oh, as am I. I would be even happier if we got the physical release here in America.
Yep.
Because I would definitely shell out the money necessary for that box set. But
Right.
we'll see. But yeah, but there is a certain program that's co-hosted by a certain someone that might be showing this movie this week. So yeah, stay tuned for details.
Happy, joy.
This one was good. I'm not a monster movie guy. Yeah, that's... Well, I haven't seen it myself, but one of the things I heard about it was that it was very character-driven. That's a good thing.
All right, let's move along to the weekend box office here. From the West, the numbers. It usually stays on top of the sort of thing. The Garfield movie is at number 1. The 14 million, down 42% from last week. Total gross 51,572,000. If with Ryan Reynolds is number 2, and Furiosa dropped to number 3 this week.
So much for that edging out Garfield last week. I think when all the numbers come in, Garfield is going to have surpassed Furiosa.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't understand how that could possibly be. I mean, Thor's wife was in it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't that be twice as good? Twice the nepotism, twice the profit, right?
We have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes hanging on at number 4. Now seems to be doing decently. It's nearing up. Go ahead.
Matt said, I'm surprised Furiosa did as well as it did. Honestly, if it had more competition, I'll bet it wouldn't be.
So Curiosa didn't I guess. Yeah, I don't think
That's funny.
I don't think most people realize that Garfield is actually secretly Mad Max universe, but
Right, exactly. Is this the first week for that Ezra thing?
Yes.
That ain't a good start.
Not.
No, but like I said, having seen it, because it was the movie night selection
Right.
last time around, so I've seen it, and not a movie I necessarily would have gone to see on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for the fact that I was on a round table reviewing it,
Yeah.
it's probably not something I would have bothered with. On its own, it's actually a good movie. And it's very much father and son story. It's a father trying to remain in his son's life. You don't see that a lot in movies these days. The father, A, being present at all, and B, that he's actually, involved with his children. And I'm somebody who's a sucker for father-son stories anyway. So it did work on that level, and there's some character beats where I was like, wow, they went there, you know. So it's a good film, but the fact that they cast some of the people that they cast, I think, is going to shoot it down as far as the general public is concerned. And since Corner did like it, we all liked it. We all liked the movie, which was a rarity. We all liked the movie, you know. We either all hate it or we're mixed on it. But yeah, it was that's and that's the thing where I'm stuck. You see, is that it's a good movie. I think it's worth going to the theaters to see. I also know no one's going to go see it. And that's too bad. And I think 9th place is about as high as it's going to get. Because there's no marketing for it. Which is another thing that I know you talked about on Geeky Geezers. Nobody, you know, whoever is marketing these films either isn't doing it correctly or doing it at all. And when you have a smaller movie like this, they don't have a big advertising budget to begin with. So it's word of mouth that very often saves a movie like this.
But I'm gonna push back on the one element that I think can't be overlooked from a marketing standpoint. When you got people like the numbnuts out there shooting off his mouth and pissing off half or more of the country, I don't care what anyone says about this movie. I will not see it. No. I will not. I am at the point with De Niro that I was with Hanoi Jane. I will not see their movies. I feel a moral obligation to withhold my money from them.
And hello, Moira Kitty. Good to see you.
Hey, Moira.
Heidi ho.
And thanks, John. I'm not necessarily saying you guys got to agree with me, but I do appreciate the support.
Yeah, I mean, I am at a point where I don't necessarily have to see anything new.
Yeah.
But part of my channel is I got to review this stuff because that's how I started my channel. I started my channel reviewing film.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, I like movies. Look behind me, for Pete's sake.
Sure.
You know. So I mean, but I am.
Oh, sorry.
I am seeing the entertainment industry taking a down spiral. And if this IATSE strike happens in August, and it's increasingly look like it's going to, that is going to be devastating.
No, I agree. This is kind of funny. Oh, wait, what was that? De Niro just had some award pulled from him too. I hadn't heard about that. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, it's true.
I may have done. Actually, that's starting to sound a little familiar. Did you send me an article about that, Mark? You might have done. But I wanted to mention Matt Cheatwood said Civil War is still in theaters because it's up on the screen. That's another one. Yeah. That's another one, Matt, that is doing better than it would because what competition does it have? You know, I mean, 15, on this list and holding, only because there isn't, 14 other films that are much, much better than it. You know? I'm surprised to see The Fall Guy still up there, right?
Yep.
There's a couple of movies there I haven't even heard of before. But the theaters are going to take them and hold on to them as long as they can because they need every dollar they can freaking get. That's the thing that I think people are not talking about enough is that cinemas are going to start closing up. They can't keep, functioning. We've got restaurants closing up because they can't keep up with the damn $20+ an hour minimum wage.
Sad.
So these theaters are going to start closing up. Where are you going to release your movies, Hollywood? Your streaming service? Your 4 quarters for $1 streaming service?
Well, Moira just said something I'd really like to comment on. And Connie and Troy, please jump in with me on this one. I just watched pirated movies because I refuse to give Hollywood any money, and I don't blame her. Yeah. Now, with me, there are still people that will get me to see a movie. I will go see a movie because Tom Cruise is in it.
We just Shark 2. It's coming. Yeah. It's coming to a rewatch near you. I promise.
And I'm willing to bet it's better than half of the movies that come out.
That might be going a bit far, but I get the sentiment.
Go ahead, Con.
I've actually seen pirated movies before. When I'm over my aunt and uncle's house, and we would watch it, a couple of them every time I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we do the mandatory disclaimer. Of course, nobody on the panel, condones the pirating of films and blah 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 blah. But that being said,
right,
the high seas are a thing. Just saying. And that's exactly it. I've said this many times, especially the ones they're not releasing on physical media. Because I've said a lot of these. I have not yet seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. But I will probably buy the DVD when it comes out. Why? Because I have every single other one. I am a completist. I have a lot of crappy DVDs just because I have to complete the collection.
Yeah.
Good. I agree with that sentiment, Moira. I really do.
And I've been there for a couple of those screenings, and Moira, I don't blame you. Keep
here.
And I'm a physical media guy. Okay.
Yeah.
And I always will be.
She comes in here with meow and purr, and that's just not right. I mean, why is it so cool when a pretty girl does that? It's just I feel wrong. I feel wrong.
So, like I always said, I am a physical media guy, obviously. Yeah, Netter's not here. You'll be fine. This isn't being recorded at all or anything.
Yeah, it's not like, this is going to be up there for her to catch up on and give me shit about later. Okay. Yeah, Mark is saying exactly that. He hasn't spent anything because nothing worth spending. See, that's the other side of it. It's not just... It's not just...
It's okay. I can cut his mic. I can cut his mic, Netter. It's okay. No. Netter, I was always on your side.
Everybody's on Netter's side. That's the right side to be on. Let's be honest. But it's a lot easier to look at Hollywood, look at people like Denum Nuts and all these other idiots, and say, you know what, I'm not going to watch their movies. You know why? Because they're putting out shit. They're putting out shit that's full of all kinds of, woke messaging that nobody wants. it's easy not to see those. Yeah, you came in a little late. Netter, the reason she's not here is because she wasn't feeling well and she needed to get to bed. But yeah, she knows that we just play around. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there is something sexy about a pretty girl with the meows and the purrs. And, you know, I'm not into the furry whole thing, but I kind of understand it.
One thing that I wanted to go back to
Mhm.
briefly was, you know, there are still movies that I would be willing to go and see on the big screen. You know,
Yeah.
if you have a movie that's sort of like an epic biography, like an Oppenheimer, I'll go see a movie like Oppenheimer on the big screen. I'll go see anything Christopher Nolan does on the big screen. You know, Tom Cruise still has some goodwill with me. Nicolas Cage still has some good. There are a few actors out there that, as far as I'm concerned, still have some goodwill, and I've noticed that those are the ones who are not on social media
Like
and
Keanu
have stayed
Reeves.
away from it. Keanu Reeves is definitely
Yeah,
one
Keanu
of those. Even though, you know, I make fun sometimes of some of the movies he's been in, but the ones that he's been in of late, I think, have been worthy of seeing in theaters. You know, so there is still that goodwill. I'll go see a Mission Impossible movie on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to lose the theater going experience. It's changed, and I don't go to see everything anymore. You know, I'll go see, or I will make more of an effort to try and see a movie that gets mixed reviews. You know, like a Furiosa or a Civil War. You know, because I want to see. Because okay, I'm curious. Where am I going to come down on it?
Yeah.
You know, I'll go see something like Oppenheimer or something, for example, like a Saving Private Ryan, because it is what it is. You know,
Right.
I'll go see a smaller independent film, like something like a David Cronenberg movie. David Cronenberg has a movie coming out here in the next couple of months. If that's in theaters, I'll go see that. I make it a point to go see a movie like In a Violent Nature. Yeah, because A, I'm curious. B, I'm the guy who keeps saying support independent films. So I make it an effort to go out and see some of these movies and actually support them. You know. But Mark is right here. He says, I'm really having fun discovering older films that I hadn't seen, especially black and white films. Watched last Blitzkrieg last night. Fascinating story based on real events. Yeah, go and seek these older movies out, you know. And Matt says Deadpool and Wolverine will probably be the last one I ever see. And he's not the only person I've heard say that. That after Deadpool and Wolverine, they're done.
Yeah.
Which I think is very sad, but I understand the argument.
And what I just said in response to, a couple of people, actually. I think I said this the other night, if not on last call, then last night on the watch party. I am not watching anything from Disney anymore, specifically because I feel a moral objection to the company in general. I feel they are literally evil, and that my money is actually supporting evil. Now, I have already decided that we're not going to the theater to see Deadpool. I will buy the DVD for Netter, because again, completist, and she is a huge Deadpool fan. But I will not go to the movie to see it, and Netter doesn't seem to really have a problem with that.
I mean, I'll probably go. I will likely go. I don't know. I didn't see 2 in theaters.
Did you see
But I
either
did
of the
see
two?
first. I saw the first one in theaters.
No, I mean either of the two versions of 2. There's also Once Upon a Deadpool. The PG.
I did not see. I did
PG-13
not see Once Upon a Deadpool. No.
I actually like that one too. We again, being completists, I had to get that. You could argue which one is better, but it doesn't matter to me. I like to have both. I think they both have some merit there. But but now that it's Disney, I will not support them.
Yeah.
I was never really a fan of Disney anyways, even when I was very young.
It was always a mixed bag for me. I watched a lot of their, their films, their live action films, Apple Dumpling Gang, and what was it, the computer that wore sneakers. And
I just saw Apple Dumpling Gang. About a week or 2 ago on with Bill on his program.
Herbie the Love Bug, all of those movies, and they were good, but and they were fun, but they weren't great. And as a kid, sometimes they were a little boring for me. As an adult, maybe I could appreciate them a little bit more. But yeah.
But this is another thing, and this is why I kind of had to amend my rating system, because I had to take a couple of things into account. Now, with me, I have Regal Unlimited, which means you pay this fee at the beginning of the month, and you're pretty much paid up. And when you go to a movie, all you have to do is pay it's like a 53-cent surcharge.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if it's like a Fathom event or something, but even then, it's a much lower price. And I don't normally get anything from the concession stand. Sometimes I do, but not normally. I ride a bike to the theater because it's just right down the road. And I usually go by myself. Mm-hmm. So my going to the movies is a fairly inexpensive, experience. But I wasn't taking into account ticket prices because I do it all online. And I'm paid up already because I've paid the fee at the beginning of the month. So it's paid for. I don't take into account that people have to drive, in some cases, a half hour to the theater. Gas prices are through the roof. The ticket prices are high. You bring your kids, you all buy concessions. So you've got people spending, I've heard, anywhere up to $60 to $100 to go to a movie, and I think that's highway robbery.
Yep.
So I've got to take into account now that I've had multiple people telling me that this is what they're going through.
Yeah.
I have to take into account when I recommend a movie, do I recommend people go to see it in theaters? And I've got to tell you, I've seen 30 movies so far this. Well, actually, more than that if you count movies from 2023 that I saw at the beginning of the year. So I've seen 30, almost 40 movies, and out of that number, there's maybe 4 or 5 that I would actually recommend somebody go to see in theaters, because not only is that movie worth seeing, I got to again take into account, can people actually afford to go? Is it, when is it okay for me to recommend seeing a movie in theaters? Because this is the stuff that goes through my head while I'm doing a review. I can't talk about the movie anymore because I'm worried about, hey, if I say I'm recommending this to see this in theaters, I'm telling people to go and spend $100, $60, whatever. I don't want to do that. Save your money. And now you got to take into account streaming. Okay, what if I say, I can't exactly say wait and see a movie on streaming or online or DMATs if that's where I saw a movie.
Yeah.
So I got to take that into account. So it's like there's this whole new tier level that I had to come up with in my own mind. I'm not going to tell people to go see a movie in theaters unless it's on the level of something like an Oppenheimer or Top Gun Maverick or something like that. Something that is, if it's not worth going back and watching multiple times, I can't do it. And I'm constantly having to make these shifts in my own mind, it's kind of hard to keep a rating system if you keep changing it in your own head. Because I have to go beyond 1 star to 4 or 5, or pick a number between 1 and 10. I have to take into account, is this movie even worth seeing in theaters or not? Not just for me, because maybe for me, because you just got into the movie for 53 cents because you paid $20 at the beginning of the month. So it's easy for me to say, go and see a movie in theaters. It's not easy for anybody else. And to my way of thinking about it, there aren't video stores anymore.
Sad.
So whenever I say rent a movie, wait and rent it. It's not like you can go to a Blockbuster and rent a movie.
True.
If you're gonna rent a movie, you got to do it through like Amazon or some other kind of streaming service. And I don't want to tell people to do that either. Not all the time. And I technically can't tell people, hey, find some kind of other way to do it. But it makes it hard, and this is part of what I'm talking about. You see, because people want to be entertained. They spend a lot of money doing it. Too much, maybe. Probably. And you have to deal with the attitude of a number of the people who make these movies. I'm going to start taking that into account.
Yeah.
And to the people out there, and again, I hate saying this because I'm a physical media guy, and it's not everybody in Hollywood who has those opinions. You know, Matthew Marsden, how many times does he go on Twitter and say not every actor is like this? And I get what he's trying to say, and I feel it, and I know there are good people out there, but they're not speaking out.
That's the key, right? Every time, you know, there's some sort of terrorist event, you have people come out and say, well, they don't represent all of us. Well, you know what? You need to step up and do something, you know? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're just sitting there quietly and you are being complacent, you know? The only thing necessary for evil to succeed is good men do nothing. Well, if you do nothing, then yeah, you kind of are still part of the problem.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, Myra, if you're still in the chat, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because that's the way that people can access these films. They can sit at home. They can, and if you, like I said, if you want to go out and have that theater experience, you can still do that. But for the people who have reached a point where they either can't or they don't want to spend the money, I'm not going to tell them to do it.
Yeah.
Pirate these films. And I'm a physical media guy. If you like something enough that when it comes out on physical media, buy it. But if it's first run in theaters, with the attitude that we have been seeing from these people, at this point I say, do what you got to do. Keep doing what you're doing, Moira, with your channel. Because it's time to hit back. Because I'm fucking done.
I hear you.
I'm an old man. I don't have time for this foolishness. I do not like bullies, and especially the kind of bullies who hide behind the guise of being correct. You have to listen to us. Because we're better than you. No, you're not. You've proven you're not.
Oh, yeah.
You're communists. You're wanton drug addicts. Who encourage
You've taken
that
the greatest
behavior.
vices and turned them into something to be lauded.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them are straight up perverts.
Yup. That's
Oh yeah.
that's what I was implying, but yes, that's absolutely
And-
the case.
Oh, I'll say it.
Yeah, they're definitely pervs.
And if I can't say it here, there's always Rumble.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And folks, I am going to start doing shows on Rumble this year. Not quite sure when, but I'm gonna. Now, I don't know about you, but we can also add many of them are also pretty damn racist too. You know.
Right.
And they always like to throw that at us, you know, because you know, they always throw out the whole thing of well, X amount of black people have been nominated for one Oscars, or X amount of Asian people, and how that needs to change. And I'm like, well, you know, we're not the ones that get to decide.
Mm-hmm.
So who the fuck do you think you are talking to? We're not the ones who made Hattie McDaniel sit in the kitchen.
Yup.
Yeah.
We are not the ones who decided until recently that Asians can't win Oscars. Oscars so white. Ugh. Oh, it's because the country's racist. No, it's not. That's your racism that did that. We don't get to decide. The Academy members get to decide. And they make this whole big deal of, oh, we've got all this diversity now and blah, blah, blah. Why didn't you have it before? You could have done that any time. But it wasn't until you chose to virtue signal that you decided, oh, a change has to be made. Now it comes off looking disingenuous.
Mm-hmm.
Now it looks like you don't mean it. So don't go talking down to me. Because I'm done with that. Call me a nist and a phobe all you want. You know what? I've been called that so many times, I've lost count. So it's not even a word to me anymore. I've seen the shtick. I'm not afraid of you. I am bored by you. So you can prattle on and say whatever you want. You're the ones who chose to open your mouth. You're the ones who chose to be political. You started putting it into your films, and now I'm going to start grading accordingly. If I bother to watch it all. So that's what I'm going to do. And whenever I review a movie on my channel, folks, I'm going to be honest. Not that I haven't been honest before, but man, I'm going to go deep now. And some people ain't going to like what I have to say. And I know some people tonight haven't liked some of the things I've had to say. And hey, this ain't an echo chamber. You can disagree.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone here familiar with GSR? Okay, we're going back to the alphabet thing. You know,
GSR.
Is that the global systems recycling or whatever?
I don't know what that is. I'm not usually very good with acronyms.
So my answer to that would be I did not.
Yeah, I do
Hi,
not.
Mark.
Yeah, I do not.
I do not.
But yeah, I mean, and you know, I feel like these things do tend to self-correct. You know, as we're talking about things like the box office, we're talking about, you know, Hollywood imploding, losing money hand over fist. You know, these woke companies losing money. You know, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I've had people tell me from companies like Walgreens and Target, people that actually work at these companies, they are either very much downplaying or completely eliminating any reference to the LGBT, you know, June Pride thing. Gee, you know, you think Bud Light might have had something to do with that? You think maybe people are starting to realize that's not the moneymaker they think it is? You know, these things do tend to work themselves out. And a lot of these companies, you know, that are changing, it might be too little too late because a lot of them are going out of business. You know? Look, I don't care what your opinion is of these issues and virtue signals. The numbers don't lie. The vast majority of Americans don't like this shit. And you know, they're going broke as a result.
Yeah.
With
Gosh,
the-
being shaming, rallying, it's the typical expression of female aggression. Yeah, well, I tell you, you know what? You can gossip and shame all you want. You know, it's just I'm not playing the game. I'm just going to throw it back at them. Every time Stephen King opens his mouth, every time Billy fucking Baldwin opens his mouth, or any one of the Baldwins, actually, to be honest, because they're all pricks.
Literally.
Except maybe Stephen. He seems to be. He's not on social media anymore. He seems to be above the fray. Got himself some religion. I don't know how much of that I buy into, but okay. Fair enough. Whatever works for him. Whatever keeps you off the cocaine, son. Whatever. You know, I'm just gonna throw it back at these people. Understand? It ain't worth it. You're in your own world. Mark Hamill doesn't want me to watch Star Wars. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Connie.
We were talking about this in the green room, with the way how the actors and actors was in the 30s and 40s. They kept their place to themselves, the politics, everything. They kept it behind closed doors.
Uh-huh.
Now look at them, all these assholes now.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they need to go back to that. Yeah. It's just that my point is GSR has no enforcement. If we ignore them, they are helpless to do anything about it. Yeah. And I don't know, Mark. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I think it's about time to probably wrap this up. I think we've went a little bit longer than I had intended, but good show all around.
Yeah.
Let's go one time around the horn. Connie, what do you have coming up?
So hopefully I'll be having another couple of videos, shorts or whatever, for both of my channels this week. So I'm in the middle of working them around a little bit. And also I've been keeping a list of some of the movies I might be showing when I do get a chance to for Friday nights when Dino can't do it. So for the Friday night movies. So, and that's it for me this week.
All right. Troy.
Tomorrow night, well, later tonight, really. Monday night, last call's Monday night at the movies. We are going to continue our weekend-long celebration of the beginning of summer with a double feature. We're calling it our summer special. Summer School with Mark Harmon, and what is it? Wet Hot American Summer, which is more of a parody of those kinds of films with actually a whole bunch of people. So hope you can join us and have some fun on Monday. Tuesday, Deleted Scenes will tell you all about that. Thursday, Netter's going to be interviewing YouTuber Mrs. Dad Man Walking. We will get the female perspective first, and then we will be bringing in Mr. Dad Man Walking a few weeks later. That'll be this Thursday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. Friday, not sure yet about the topic for last call. Have had very, very recently a planned guest confirm with me, but for later in the month. So I'm trying to decide what to do for this week. It'll be fun, whatever it is. We'll have some drinks. We'll talk. Try and keep it light because it's been a dark couple of weeks. That's for darn sure. So that's last call. And then, of course, I will be co-hosting with Netter on Saturday, her watch party at 9 Central. Netter's Network Retro Cinema, Dolores Claiborne.
All right. That brings it on around to me. I do want to say we had a couple of friends who had birthdays over the weekend. Of course, Nina Green, who often joins Jedi Bill for his karaoke streams. It's her birthday. So once again, happy birthday, Nina. And of course, also Tom Connors. Midnight's Edge After Dark. His birthday was on the 1st. So,
wow.
Happy birthday to you both. Let's see. I will be back Tuesday night for live from Sparkwood 21, of course, with Troy and Netter and Boomer. And we are going to be discussing a Twin Peaks fan film called Beyond the Meanwhile, I believe was the title.
Yep.
All right. We're also going to have the Flappy behind the music in the air.
Yes.
So, I'm really looking
a
forward to that part.
A biopic
Yes.
about Flappy, the bird that you see at the opening of every Twin Peaks episode.
And of course, we're going to be discussing a series of coffee commercials, Japanese coffee commercials that play into the show as well. So, which I'll be seeing for the first time. So,
Oh, you've never seen them?
Really?
Awesome.
If I have, I don't recall.
They're fun.
Yeah.
I'll probably be halfway through that part and go, "Oh, I remember this now." But
Yes, exactly. Probably.
yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised.
And
Yeah.
right. Of course, Thursday, Action Theater, Jedi Bill and myself, and this is going to be a special episode because we will be watching Godzilla -1. Now that it is available to air. Then let's see, Friday at 8 p.m., I will be joining Big Al Presents and Soundtracks with Birdman for a special Friday night edition of Films with Friends. And we will be watching... What will we be watching? I should know this, because I'm going to be on the show. Oh, 300, Rise of an Empire. We're watching this
right.
300. With Eva Green, Sullivan Stapleton, and everybody who survived the first film.
You had most everyone at Eva Green.
Yeah. Did we mention Eva Green? Allow me to restate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and then, of course, going back around to Sunday for Western Cinema Presents, where we will be watching Sam Peckinpah's Ride the High Country. So, okay, that's where we're going to be. And then, of course, stay tuned to my channel and my community page for any upcoming videos. I might drop in one or two during the week. I want to thank everybody that was following along with us on Twitter and Rumble. And, of course, we were simulcasting, so we're on Troy's channel and on Curtis's channel as well. So thank you to everybody who stuck around. I want to thank everybody who, of course, joined us in the chat. We, of course, had Kurtz with us, and Netter was in the background. I want to thank JPRPH1, Matt Cheatwood, Sashi, Putin's cat. Let's see, who else? Moira Kitty. Scrolling through because I don't want to miss anybody. Mark Mounikoff. Darth Plato. JPRPH1, if I forgot to mention you earlier, the Clue channel. I think that was everybody. Okay. This has been The Other Side of Midnight. We will be returning next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Any final words, guys?
Peace, love, and happiness.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All righty. All right. Well, that was a lively one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who was on the panel. Thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody on Twitter and Rumble. From HQ and all points north, south, east, west, and beyond. Good night. Take care. Stay strong, because this is how we win.